Carlos Alcaraz and his first big final of the year. The Spanish tennis player reaches his second most important event at the beginning of the year. And if he wants to catch up with Sinner in the rankings, he has no choice but to win this title. Puerto Rico has welcomed Spanish tennis player Carlos Alcaraz with open arms, as he will play a historic exhibition match against American Frances Tiafoe, in addition to participating in various activities. I am excited to arrive in Puerto Rico and share with its people in the different events we have leading up to the big match against Frances on Sunday at the Coliseo, Alcaraz stated in the press release. The match, titled Battle of Legends and organized by VRDG Entertainment, will take place this Sunday at the Coliseo de Puerto Rico in San Juan. This match will undoubtedly serve the Mercian as preparation for his first big final of the season. After winning the ATP 500 in Rotterdam, the player from El Palmar wants to conquer the first ATP 1000 of this new campaign, the Masters 1000 of Indian Wells. Considered the fifth Grand Slam of the ATP circuit, the Spaniard faces the challenge of achieving his first three-peat in the same tournament, having won it in 2023 and 2024. A feat that, at 21 years old and having been a professional since 2020, he could repeat this season at Wimbledon, a major he won in 2023 and 2024 by defeating Serbian Novak Djokovic in both finals. The protege of Juan Carlos Ferrero and Samuel Lopez returned from Qatar, where he played the ATP 500 in Doha, falling in the quarterfinals against Czech Yuri Lehecka by 3-6, 6-3, and 4-6, and then arrived home. Without time to disconnect, he started training at the Real Sociedad Club de Campo de Murcia, his lifelong club, preparing for the US Tour, which will take him to compete in Indian Wells and another tournament of the same category in Miami, two competitions that will take place back-to-back starting next week. The player from El Palmar will seek his third consecutive title in California after always defeating Russian Daniil Medvedev in the final, first in 2023, 6-3, 6-2, and again last season, 7-6-5, 6-1. And without a doubt, this is his first major final of 2025, after losing to Djokovic in the quarterfinals of the Australian Open. Because for Alcaraz, there are no more backup options if he wants to reach the world number one spot before Sinner returns from his suspension. Specifically, Carlos Alcaraz could accumulate up to 10,610 points, compared to Sinner's 9,730, by the start of the Rome tournament. However, he has very little margin for error. If he wins Indian Wells, defending the 1,000 points from last year's title, he will need to perform well in Miami and enter the clay court season aiming to replicate his past doubles victories in Barcelona and Madrid, while also competing well in Monte Carlo and Rome. He only defends 200 points in the clay tournaments leading up to Rome, making this achievement possible. Alcaraz enjoys his arrival in Puerto Rico. I want to make people have a good time. Carlos Alcaraz has traveled to Puerto Rico as a stop before the start of the first Masters 1000 tournaments of the year. The Spaniard will play an exhibition match with Frances Tiafoe and wants to enjoy the warmth of the people. It's very nice to come to a country where Spanish is spoken, and it will be great to hear their support. Every time I play in front of a Latin audience, it's an incredible experience. I'm here to have fun and make people enjoy, said the Mercian, who also expressed his intention to try mofongo, the typical dish of Puerto Rico, and even danced upon arriving on the island. Zverev's disaster gives Carlos Alcaraz an opportunity. After Sasha Zverev's defeat in Acapulco, Carlos Alcaraz has an unexpected opportunity to regain the world number 2 ranking sooner than expected, though to do so, he cannot afford to fail in Indian Wells and Miami. The ATP 500 in Acapulco has been much more eventful than anticipated, as food poisoning has severely impacted the draw, forcing some of the tournament's top players to withdraw and others to play at less than full strength. This was the case for the top seed, ATP number 2 Alexander Zverev, who lost in the round of 16 to Lerner Tien in straight sets. However, beyond this major setback, the real issue is what lies ahead, as Carlos Alcaraz is getting closer in the rankings. Right now, with Jannik Sinner's upcoming suspension, the Hamburg native will be the top seed in upcoming tournaments such as the Masters 1000 in Indian Wells and Miami, as well as in Monte Carlo. However, the gap between him and the Mercian is narrow, as he squandered a golden opportunity to extend it significantly. If things had gone well for him, he could have added 1,250 points in the South American Tour, but multiple losses left him with just 200. This leaves the difference between the two at just 625 points. Alcaraz defends a lot, Zverev not so much. The issue is that the upcoming tournaments favor the German, at least in terms of ranking, as he defends only 600 points. In Indian Wells, he reached the quarterfinals, where Alcaraz eliminated him. In Miami, he lost in the semifinals to Grigor Dimitrov. On the other hand, Alcaraz, while failing to progress past the Miami quarterfinals, won the title in the Coachella Desert, meaning that if he fails to defend it, he will take a big hit. However, if he succeeds, he will have a great opportunity in Miami. Considering Sasha is struggling with his game, a surprise cannot be ruled out, though it remains difficult. If he fails to close the gap in the US, his chance will come on clay, where he defends very few points after skipping Monte Carlo, Barcelona, and Rome, and losing in the round of 16 in Madrid. However, if he does not take advantage of these events, he will have no choice but to win the Grand Slams at Roland Garros and Wimbledon, or else he will face a significant ranking hole. Carlos Alcaraz abandons his big change before Indian Wells. Carlos Alcaraz has been testing a new string setup in Murcia for the US Tour, but just hours after debuting it, he has returned to the previous setup, where he feels more comfortable. This week, we are seeing top-tier tennis at the ATP 500 events in Acapulco and Dubai. However, most top players have chosen to wait a week for the second major tournament of the year, marking the start of an intense month. We are talking about the first Masters 1000 of the year, Indian Wells, which begins on March 5 and will kick off the US hardcourt swing before transitioning into the clay court season from April to June. For this event, the defending champion, Carlos Alcaraz, was expected to arrive with a major change that he ultimately abandoned. This Tuesday, he was seen training in his hometown, El Palmar, testing a new orange-colored string setup that seemed to be his choice for the upcoming tournaments. However, it did not last long, as by Wednesday, he was back to his black strings. His Babolat racket has undergone several adjustments over the past months, and this was just another one. Carlos Alcaraz is set to make his return to the court earlier than expected, ahead of the Indian Wells Masters, which begins on March 5. Before heading to California, the young Spanish star will travel to San Juan, the vibrant capital of Puerto Rico, for a special exhibition match. On March 2, he will face American player Frances Tiafoe in what promises to be an exciting encounter. This is not the first time Alcaraz and Tiafoe have played an exhibition match. The two share a great friendship and mutual respect, having previously faced off in Charlotte last December. Their on-court chemistry and entertaining style of play have made their matchups highly anticipated by tennis fans worldwide. This time, however, their clash in Puerto Rico carries an even greater significance. The exhibition match is being held in honor of Mónica Puig, Puerto Rico's Olympic hero and the nation's first-ever gold medalist. Puig's historic victory at the 2016 Rio Olympics remains one of the most iconic moments in Puerto Rican sports history, and this event serves as a tribute to her achievements and contributions to tennis. For Alcaraz and Tiafoe, the match is not just an opportunity to fine-tune their game before Indian Wells but also a chance to inspire young athletes in Puerto Rico. The event will highlight the growing global reach of tennis while celebrating Puig's legacy. Fans can expect an electrifying atmosphere as these two dynamic players put on a show in San Juan.